Quick question. Do you have a Capital One account that was charged off, now it's been purchased by a collection agency, or you might have other collections on your credit report and you don't know what to do? Well, I'm going to give you 3 options that you can go about removing that collection off your credit report. So sit back, relax, grab a pen, get some paper, get something to drink. We're going to get straight into it. Hold up. Before we get into the 3 different ways of going about removing that collection from your credit report, I want you to understand this. That collection agency have to abide by the FDCPA, which is 15 USC 1692, and Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax have to abide by the FCRA, which is the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which is 15 USC 1681. All right. Now, I know there are other laws out there that can help you remove accounts from your credit report, but not to overwhelm you and to keep this simple. The first strategy we're going to leverage is leveraging the FDCPA. Now, here's what I mean. So before we go over the strategy of going about removing that collection from our report, I want to go over some specific laws, because once I go over these laws, the strategy is going to make sense. All right. So Google 15 USC 1692 and then click on this. All right. Now what you're going to see is a breakdown of the first chapter, but what we want to do is go to the sub chapters. All right. Now, once we're here, I want you to go to 15 USC 1692C, communication in connection with debt collections. All right. Now I'm gonna go over the specific laws. All right. So with communication with the consumer generally, all right, without the prior consent of the consumer given directly to the debt collector or the express permission of a court of competent jurisdiction, a debt collector may not communicate with a consumer, right, in connection with the collection of any debt at, number 1, at any unusual time or place or a time or a place known or which should be known to be inconvenient to the consumer, right? In the absence of knowledge of circumstances to the contrary, a debt collector shall assume that the convenient time for communicating with a consumer is after 8:00 a.m. and before 9:00 p.m. All right, local time at the consumer's location. Now that's one specific laws, a few specific laws. Now let's go over this one right here. Ceasing communication. All right, if a consumer notifies a debt collector in writing that the consumer refused to pay a debt, or that the consumer wishes the debt collector to cease further communication with the consumer, the debt collector shall not communicate further with the consumer with respect to such debt, except to advise the consumer that the debt collector's further efforts are being terminated. So after going over those specific laws, here's what you can do. All right. You can create a letter to that collection agency, certify, telling them I refuse to pay this debt because I have a lot going on. I have XY going on. Only you know what you have going on. All right. Make sure you make a copy of that letter and make sure you send that certified. Now, here's what's supposed to happen. They're supposed to cease communications with you. Now, are they going to do it? Probably not. All right. So now what you want to do is document any time they communicate with you after you sent that letter out. All right. So learning from lawyers, you want to document, make note, write everything down, date, time, because I know some of you all don't have 2 phones. All right. Or if they call you, you can't record them. So you just want to write down the date and time that they called you, or if they left a voicemail, screenshot it and save it for later on, because I'm gonna show you what you need to do with it. All right. Also, if they text you, all right, document the date and time that they text you. If they send you an email, take a screenshot of the email, because it's going to be very important. If they leave voicemails, if they continue calling you, guess what? Document everything, date, time, any type of way that they try to communicate with you after you sent that letter. Now, here's what you want to do now. All right. Since they violated 15 USC 1692C, you want to file a complaint with the CFPB, all right? And you want to file a complaint with the Attorney General's office, and you want to file a complaint with the BBB. Here's why. You have documentation and evidence of all the laws that they violated, all right? Now, you want to create a complaint based off of what happened. All right, so you sent the letter on XY day telling them to, hey, I refuse to pay this debt because I have a lot going on. Guess what? They're supposed to cease communication, and also they kept on communicating with me after I told them I have a lot going on. All right, and you have the evidence, you have the documentation. All you have to do is just upload all the screenshots or put it together and upload everything. Now, most likely, you're going to get that collection removed off your report. All right. Hold up. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Hey, you don't want to go through that process. You want to send a letter. You want to document. I understand. Now, here's another way you can leverage of going about getting that collection off your report by leveraging the FDCPA. All right. Now, remember 15 U.S.C. 1692C, inconvenient time. So if they call you during an inconvenient time, you're supposed to pick up and let them know that this is an inconvenient time. All right. Document telling them, hey, this is an inconvenient time. Now, if they call you again the next day and during that inconvenient time that you told them, that's a violation of the FDCPA. All right. Now, remember, you have to document all that, document everything. It's very important. All right. And if you can record the conversation or whatever the case may be, try to record the conversation if you can. All right. Now, you want to do the same thing by filing a complaint with the CFPB and the BBB and the Attorney General, showing that, hey, this collection agency violated my rights. All right. Now, most likely it's going to help you remove that collection off your credit report, or you can also reach out to an attorney. So now let's talk about another strategy to go about removing that collection from your credit report. All right. Now, what we're going to do is leverage multiple laws when it comes to the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Now, the first law we're going to get into is 15 U.S.C. 1681 EB. All right. Now, if you have your Fair Credit Reporting Act book, we're about to get into it. All right. You want to go to page 43 and we're going to get into it. 15 U.S.C. 1681 EB, accuracy of report. Now, whenever a consumer reporting agency prepares a consumer report, it shall follow reasonable procedure to assure maximum possible accuracy of the information concerning the individual about whom the report relates. So what does that mean? All right, what does that mean for you? Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, and other people that report or prepares your report is supposed to assure maximum possible accuracy. So what does that mean? When you have that collection on your credit report, guess what? The open date, date of last payment, date last active, the balance, the monthly payment, everything has to be consistent. What do I mean? The balance has to be the same on Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. That open date needs to be the same on Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. The date of last payment needs to be the same on Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. Date of last activity needs to be the same on Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. And as you can see right here, you're going to see a lot of inconsistent information on your credit report, and you can leverage that to help you remove that collection off your credit report. All right. So the first thing you want to do is create a letter. If you don't have a letter, I'll have everything for you, but don't worry about that right now. The first thing you want to do is create a letter and send it to Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And what you're going to do is ask them, can you reinvestigate the completeness and accuracy of this account and fix whatever needs to be fixed, update whatever needs to be updated, modify whatever needs to be modified, or delete this account from my credit report based off of 15 U.S.C. 1681 I-5. Now, I'm not going to get into that. All right. Now, I'm just letting you know what they're supposed to do. All right. Now, what they're supposed to do is reinvestigate that account and update the open date, date last active, date of last payment. They're supposed to make sure everything is correct on that specific account. All right. And most likely they're not going to. All right. So what you want to do now is ask them, how did you want to request? Your second letter is requesting an investigation of how they went about modifying that account, updating that account. You want to ask them a description based off of 15 U.S.C. 1681 I-7. Make sure you add 2 forms of identification. Make sure when you send this letter to the first letter, make sure you add 2 forms of identification and send it certified. All right. Let me slow down a little bit. So the first letter that you create, make sure you send it to Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. Make sure you certify it. All right. Now, most likely that account might come back verified, or you might get it deleted. Congratulations. But if it comes back verified, or it says modify or updated, you want to ask them to provide you a description of how they updated that account or how they verified that account. All right. And they're supposed to provide it to you within 15 days according to 15 USC 1681 I-7. All right. Now, what you're going to do is I just want you to compare reports and see, did they really update something? Did they really modify nothing? Did they really modify anything? Because you're not going to see that they updated, modified nothing. It's still going to be inconsistent. And guess what? Now you want to leverage those violations and create a complaint to the CFPB. Tell them how Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax violated your rights. Now you have proper documentation showing them that they didn't update nothing, they didn't modify nothing, they didn't fix anything on your report, and you have the report to show them, and you have the letters telling them, and you ask them to provide you a description of how they did that, and they didn't do that as well. So now you have all these different violations, and now I can help you remove that collection from your credit report. So now let's talk about a third possible way to remove that collection from your credit report. All right. Now, nobody really talks about this, but you could do a pay for delete. Hear me out. All right. You could do a pay for delete, because think about it. If you just owe $50 or $100 or maybe $10, like I done seen collection just for $10, does it make any sense to go back and forth with the credit bureaus over $10? All you got to do is just pay this $10 to be permanently removed from your report, or $50 doesn't make any sense. All right. So if you do a pay for delete, make sure you have everything in writing. Make sure they send that over to you in email, or if they need to send it to you, certified letter, whatever the case may be. Make sure you have a contract before you actually pay that $10 or $50 to be removed from your report, because that collection might just be holding you back from increasing your credit score to get approved or have better conditions, or whatever the case may be, or what you're trying to get. All right. Now, hold up. Before we continue, I know what you're probably thinking. How can I get access to those letters? How can I get access to more information on going about removing other accounts that might be on your reports? I got you. That's the reason why I created a free course called the 700 Plus Blueprint. Yes, it's free. And I'll give you access to that, plus a community, so you don't feel like you're going to be alone throughout this credit repair journey. I understand, because I was just like you years ago, going through this process and trying to figure it out on how to fix my credit. So that's the reason why I created this free community, so you can get access to this and you can ask your questions in this free community, so we can help you and assist you on knocking the credit bureaus out. Now, some of y'all probably don't have the time to go back and forth with the credit bureaus. You don't feel like doing none of this. All right. Now, I have an offer for you as well, where you can get started today for just $1, and we'll bill you 7 days later after that. All right. And now, if you're interested in that, hey, I'll have the link in the description for that. But if you just want to do it yourself, I have a free community for you to do it yourself. All right. It's a win-win situation, and I'll see you inside.